It's the home of great music. Afternoon on the Tuesday afternoon. Don't forget to on the way to with the Drive Time Show. He's been down in the marketplace all morning. Called it Mansfield by the Sea. All going off, but he's back in Studio One this afternoon, 2 o'clock, right through till 6. All the usual great stuff, and of course keeps you updated with the traffic and the travel right through the afternoon. But right now, it's my honour, I would think, today in Studio One to say hello to Alvin Stardust.
Good morning. Sorry, I thought you were going to carry on then. Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, great.
All right.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, then, because you're here on especially for 50 years of rock and roll, which is taking place at the Palace Theatre down in town on Sunday, the 12th of October. And because Alvin, I kind of know you've done it all, really, kind of acting, kind of into the business side of things, music-wise. But you kicked off with rock and roll. Is that still your big favourite? Yeah,
I mean, I kind of was dead lucky. We got a break really early on. When it all kind of started. It actually started in Mansfield at the Granada,
really,
which is now long gone, and at the ABC, which is now long gone.
Yeah.
I think the building's still there. That's it. And I used to go to Saturday matinees there, and I used to watch the cowboy films. They were our heroes, you know, Roy Rogers and Gene Autry. And that's what made me want to be have a guitar at least, you know. That's what kind of got me into guitars and music. And after that, I got a little guitar. My mum bought me my first one when I was 12.
Is that down in town, by the way, down in Mansfield?
That was in Mansfield. We used to live on Clifton Place.
And now, this is another thing, that just before you go on, you see, because a lot of people I know say, I know Alvin Stardust from the old days, and every time you ask somebody where you actually lived, everybody comes back with a different place.
Yeah, I know. I do get right? People. Someone came up to the other day and said, you used to go to the youth club with my mum. I said, where was that? Yeah. And I thought they were going to say the Co-op in Mansfield, just under the railway arch. Right. And she said, oh yeah, in Reading. And I said, I'm sorry. I said, well, I've never lived in Reading. I don't really know. But people do get. I said, you're perhaps thinking of Wayne Fontana. And they said, oh, I don't know, you know, because the Shane Fentone and Wayne Fontana, similar names. But that it all started off then, really, with cowboys. In fact, my Auntie Vi, was my favourite, and my mum's sister, my Auntie Vi was my favourite auntie, had twins, David and Marion. And they eventually moved to Mansfield.
Right.
So they've been in Mansfield for years now. And on my first guitar, the first song I ever learnt to play, I remember I stood at the side of their pram with this old guitar, and it was a Roy Rogers song. It went, a four-legged friend, he'll never let you down. He's honest and faithful right up to the end. That wonderful. And if you could sing the next line, you're too old. You shouldn't be listening to this station.
Well, I can't, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, and you know, sometimes I do that on stage, and the whole audience sing, "Wonderful 1, 2, 3, four-legged friend." That's the one. But it was only a couple of years ago. I was at Wembley with the Eagles were over. And Breakfast Television were doing an interview, and the reporter was she said to the guys in the band, because I know Joe Walsh and a couple of the other guys, said, well, can you tell us what made you want to be in the music business? And they said, well, I kind of, and they were kind of humming and hawing a bit. And she turned around to me in desperation, and she said, how about you, Alvin? You've been in the business a long time. I said, yeah, a long time. She said, what made you want to be in the business? So I said, oh, I can't tell you, you'll laugh. And she said, no, do, please. So I said, well, it was Roy Rogers. I said, because he was the singing cowboy. And Joe and two of the other guys in the Eagles said, man, I got every record Roy ever made. He's a great country singer. And I thought, well, I'm not in bad company.
No, at all, no. Going back to Mansfield then, where did you used to live?
Clifton Place.
Was Clifton Place?
Yeah, West Hill Drive.
Yeah.
Clifton Place. It was a little cul-de-sac with 5 houses on, and we had the best house,
of course,
number 5, because number 6 was the nurse's house. All the nurses used to live in there.
Really?
So from when I can remember, these fabulous nurses coming in and out with their uniforms on, and they used to sleep there in the evenings, and I'd always be sitting on the wall saying hello,
So Shane Fenton and the Fentones, then, how did that come about?
Well, everyone used to go to, we used to go to the youth club, the Co-op Youth Club, and we played snooker opposite. There's some snooker rooms there. And then at weekends we'd get on the bus and go to Papelwick Lido,
right,
and take little record players and and play out in the gardens and everything. And from there I found out that there was a dance going on at the Pally, and it was called the Wednesday Hop, I think, or something like that. And I went there and kind of saw this band playing, and it was Johnny Theakston and the Tremolos, and they blew me away completely. And Johnny was a big fan of Cliff's, and he used to look a bit like Cliff and dress a bit like Cliff, because it was like a good angle to use. But the worst thing about it was that I actually think he was better than Cliff.
Yeah.
He had a better voice, and he was better looking, and he moved better. No disrespect to Cliff, but I think that would have been a problem, because they wouldn't have wanted another Cliff, would they? But he was massive. He was so popular, and I felt great because I became a mate of theirs, and they let me sing a couple of songs. And then I used to go to the rehearsals, and we went round to Johnny's house one day. Now, he lived on West Hill Drive, just the other side of to me. And when we got there, he wasn't there. His mum said, "I'm afraid he's been taken into hospital, he's not well." So we said, "Oh, what's wrong?" They said, "Well, he had a weak heart from when he had an illness when he was a little boy." Anyway, within a week, we heard he died. So the band kind of just split up. We were all like 16-year-old, and we were devastated. But what I didn't know is that Johnny had sent a tape to the BBC in London of the band saying, we'd like to do a broadcast. But they put it in a brown envelope and just addressed it to the BBC London with a note saying, "If this comes to the wrong department, would you mind passing it on?" Well, can you imagine now?
It's still different, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But they passed it on, and the producer of Saturday Club, Jimmy Grant, wrote back to Johnny, care of his house, saying they'd like the band to go and do a radio test. So Johnny's mum and dad came round to my house and said, "Look, we don't think Johnny would want the band to miss out on an opportunity like this. Will you reform the band, and will you sing with them?" So I said, "Well, yeah, of course I will. I'll ask them anyway." And they said, "But we've got one real big favour. Will you use the name that Johnny thought of?" Which was Shane Fentone. He wanted an American-sounding name. So I didn't even hesitate. I just said, yeah. So it was a sad way, but a kind of almost like a Disney story, really. It was Hollywood, I suddenly got this break because of a sad incident, and we did the radio show, picked up a recording deal at EMI, and the rest is history, really.
And it was rock and roll for a few years, and then came the name change from Shane Fenton to Alvin Stardust.
Yeah. And it was funny because it was at that time when I became Shane Fenton, it was actually before, it was 50 years ago to this year. In March, I got on the bus in Mansfield Marketplace and went to Doncaster to see Buddy Holly and the Crickets. And I took my guitar with me, which my mum had bought me when I was 12. I'd learned to play a few chords. And it's a long story, but I got backstage and met Buddy and the Crickets, and I played Peggy Sue in the dressing room.
Fantastic, that, yeah.
And the tour manager said, "Would you, we've got to get ready for the show. Would you like an autograph before you go?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." And no one could find a pen or a piece of paper. So I said, "I've got a pencil in my guitar case." So I looked, and of course, no paper. All I could think of was, I said, "Would you sign my guitar?" And this is the old guitar here.
Really?
And if you look very carefully on the top there,
it's amazing, that is.
You'll see
now
Buddy Holly and Jerry. And I don't think the viewers can hear this.
Right, I don't think so, but
I mean.
You shouldn't really pass this to me because it's looks very expensive.
It's just
very
insured
old.
for $2 million American dollars, so it's about £1 million.
And I am very, very clumsy, so watch out.
But if you look all the way around it, you'll see. I carried on, and I've got. I did a tour with Billy Fury, Marty Wilde, and Joe Brown. They all signed it. Then, of course, I was with EMI, on Parlophone with the Beatles. And we did the Albert Hall together, and they signed it. And then the Stones signed it. So I got Brian on there as well. And then some of my idols locally, people like Dave Berry and all that, Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry.
I went to Manchester in 1960.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I'll get it.
So pass over the guitar.
We're handing it, but I've got to tell you, we're tentatively handing it across microphones here, but it was in my mum's garage for, I don't know.
Really?
Years and years and years, yeah.
Doing nothing?
Yeah, and when she died about 5 years ago, I emptied a flat out and we just put everything in my garage. And it's very hard, you know, when you've got to go through your mum's stuff, as people like they will know. And it took me 2 years before I had the heart to kind of start searching through it. And I found this old guitar case. And that was it. And I thought she'd chucked it. My mum used to have this saying, she was a real cockney, she used to say, if in doubt, sling it out.
Yeah.
And so I thought she'd slung it, but she hadn't. So I've got it now, and it's
still there, yeah.
And that's what
Brilliant.
made me want to do this tour, because
right.
I've not kind of toured on my own. I've never stopped working. We always do gigs all around the world with like Team Handed, and that was Susie and Slade and Sweet and all them. And we're off in Germany again in a couple of weeks. It'll be a stadium, about 30,000 people. But there's all about 7 bands on. And I've not really toured since the 70s on my own.
Right.
So, in fact, I've just realised I wasn't on my own then. I had Hot Chocolate as our opening act. And I just thought, you know, at my age, I should be able to do what I want to do. So I realised I hadn't played any of those old 50s rock and roll songs for years and years and years. So I thought, right, I'm going to do the first half just 50s rock and roll and a bit of blues, a bit of jazz.
Okay.
And then and the second half, in the interval, we do what we leather up. We get the Jack Daniels and Coke
Sounds
out.
good.
We get the leathers on, and then we do 70s and 80s. There's some serious rock in the second half. Yeah.
As it what? As Shane Fenton, first of all, then as Alvin Stardust,
yeah.
all kind of...
I never thought I could have put that on the poster featuring Alvin Stardust and Shane Fenton. Yeah.
Are you going to play a song for us now, then?
Yeah, well, I can do. Yeah, one of the songs. Some songs I think are great because they've got like. I've got to apologise for the strings on this. I just grabbed a guitar on the way out of the house this morning, and the strings are rotten on this. But
it's a nice Epiphone guitar, though.
It is.
I would tell everybody that.
Gibson J200. It's the 50s rock and roll I love. In fact, I've just been in and started working on an album of a jazz version of some of the songs, because on stage we do Hound Dog. Well, the first time I heard Hound Dog, it was Big Mama Thornton,
right?
And she didn't do like you ain't nothing but a hound dog, you know. She did it like this. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, snooping round my door. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, snooping round my door. You ain't never caught a rabbit, I ain't gonna feed you no more. So it's all kind of bluesy stuff. Yeah. And I used to love Carl Perkins. It was a big idol of ours. And of course his was the famous, well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, now go cat go, but don't you step on my blue suede shoes. Well, you can do anything, get off of my blue suede shoes. But we went in just recently with a friend of mine who was a musical director, just got a Tony on Broadway last year for Stephen Sondheim's Sweeney Todd. But she loves jazz and blues and that, and we did a version of Blue Suede Shoes which went, if I remember, something like this. Get the right key. One for the money, and 2 for the show, 3 to get ready now. Go cat go, but don't you dare step on my blue suede shoes. You can do anything, get off of my blue suede shoes. Well, you can burn my house, steal my car, and so on, you know, it goes on.
That's right. But it's just going to say, it's that kind of song that can lend itself nicely to a jazz feel as well. It's been, as well as being out and out rock and roll.
Yeah,
that, can't you?
Well, but when I suppose it's because they were just written by somebody with a guitar sitting there going, you know, like that's how they used to write. Yeah. I'm even out of tune. Anyway, things like that's all right, Mama. That's all right with you. That's all right, Mama. Any way you do, well, that's all right. And they just get a guitar out and sing, you know. I mean, I remember hearing a story about Elvis. It was his mum's birthday, apparently, and he wanted to give her a present, so he went into a record booth where you put $1 in.
Yeah.
And took your guitar in, And then he stood there, and he must have gone in with his guitar and just stood there and gone, "That's all right, Mama." And when he finished, you know, pressed the button, waited, and a lacquer, you know,
That's right.
vinyl record came out, and he gave it to his mum as a present. And I thought, wow, that's cool.
It's a great story.
You can't even do that these days, you know, which you should be able
because
to.
Because in Mansfield at that time, I would think there was absolutely nothing like it. In fact, in the UK, you just could not do that.
No, it was Sid Booth's. Who was great. That was the record store.
Yeah.
You could go in there and get a vinyl record out, and they'd put it on for you on the counter, and you could go to a booth, put the earphones on, and listen to the record you wanted to buy before you bought it. Which is pretty good going.
All changed.
Yeah.
All changed. So when you're down at the Palace Theatre, then it's going to be kind of rock and roll songs.
Rock and roll songs, loads of 50s rock and roll songs. I mean, there's songs like the one chord. I reckon sometimes you can get. And you kind of know it's going to go, well, bebop lula. I'm not going to do it, but that's the, you know, you just, and there's one of my favourites is, and there's a favourite of Sting as well. I heard him being interviewed. He said, just 3 chords and you know the song. Now there are 3 steps to heaven. Listen, and you will plainly see. And as life travels on, and things do go wrong, just follow steps 1, 2, and 3. Step 1, you find a girl to love. And it just sits so nice with the guitar, doesn't it? Lovely, love them all.
Also, too, it's not just music, are you? I mean, you kind of been in loads and loads of things like acting as well. What made you get into that, or how did you get into that, really?
Same as everything else, really. I kind of fall into it. So, I mean, I was being managed by Hal Carter in 1973, who was Billy Fury's tour manager when I first did a tour with Billy in '60. And he was looking after Marty and Joe, and he had a friend called Peter Shelley, who was a record producer, who just started with a new label. He'd written a song called Cuckoo, got a demo, wanted someone to sing it, and he'd asked Marty. Marty didn't want to do it, so he asked, I don't know, God knows who else he must have asked, and they all said no. And then Hal said to me, "Do you want to do it?" And I said, "Am I the last one?" He said, No. So I said,
sounds familiar.
So I said, "What's it going to cost?" You know, and he said, "Nothing." So I said, "I'll do it." You know, so I did, and of course, I went away. They said we can't use the name Shane Fenton because we won't get any plays on Radio 1. So we'll think of a name. It's somehow or other they came up with the name Alvin Stardust, and I just went back. I was doing a gig in Manchester. I remember the night I'd heard the first thing, and I said, no one's ever going to buy a record called My Cuckoo by someone with a prat with a name like Alvin Stardust. And of course, how wrong can you be? It just blew me away completely.
No, I heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm about to find out that the name Alvin Stardust was given to you by Michael Levy. Later it became Lloyd Levy. Is that right?
Well, no, Michael owned the company.
Right.
And it was a combination of Anne Bishop, who was the plugger, and she'd plugged everyone from the Tremolos to right the way through. A lot of big 60s names, PJ Proby and all those kind of people. And Michael Levy and Pete Shelley.
Yeah.
And I kind of threw a little bit in at the end, but it was really all of them just thought of the name.
Alvin Stardust. It certainly worked.
Yeah, it certainly did, yeah.
It certainly worked.
And it was a similar thing with the acting. The 70s came and went, and I thought, that's it. It's all over now, you know, I've had my crack at the whip. And then in 1981, I got a phone call from Peter Waterman, who had been a plugger at Magnet Records.
Yeah.
And he said, "I've got this song, it's the #1, we've got to record it." And I said, "Pete, and you're a great bloke," I said, "but Alvin Stardust 1981, we ain't going to get a deal, you know." And he said, "We'll get a deal. I've got Pete Collins, who's just had a #1 all over the world with Pass the Dutchie. He's going to produce it." I said, "Oh, go on then." It cost us £500 to record. We took it around the stations. Everyone liked it, but no one would take it because it was Alvin Stardust, which was a 70s name, you know.
Right.
Except Dave Robinson at Stiff Records. Well, talk about falling on your feet. Dave had Elvis Costello, Madness, Lena Lovitch, Ian Jury and the Blockheads. I mean, it was the cred label, and they took me on. And of course, it came out, and it was #1 in about 8 territories around the world, and that kind of sparked the 80s all off again.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I bumped into Mike Batt when Stiff folded, and then I bumped into Mike Batt, and he wrote me a song called "I Feel Like Buddy Holly," which again we just took into Chrysalis Records, and Chris Wright wanted it, and they were the biggest independent label at the time. And suddenly I'm on in this new stable with Billy Idol, Ultravox, Spandau Ballet,
Real
Blondie.
change in direction.
Yeah,
Then,
God, it was terrific. So they gave me a load of records, and then the 80s finished, and I thought, where do we go from here? And I got a phone call from an agent saying they're doing a national tour of Godspell. Do you want to do it? And of course I'd seen David Essex do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, it's a funny piece, that's great, you know. So I did it, and then I got asked to do the Marquess of Queensberry and Oscar, and then Uriah Heep in David Copperfield, and a few others. And then I did a couple of tellies. I did the Grimleys and things like that, and Hollyoaks. I did the first couple of series.
Yes, she was. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I've forgotten about that. Yes, you were, weren't you?
If you'd have known me then, you could have come and had a drink. It was my pub.
I would have done it all. And also, too, we were going back something like 3 years ago for Child Catcher.
Yeah, well, I was playing Phantom.
Right.
And I'd come off stage, and I went into the bar for a drink, and Michael Rose, who's the producer of the Chitty, came into the bar, and he said, "Hello, Alvin, I didn't realise you were doing this theatre stuff." I said, "Well, I'm having a go. It's a bit of fun." And he said, no, seriously, he said, "Will you do the Child Catcher for me at the Palladium?" And I thought he was winding me up, because it was a part that everyone wanted then. And so I said, "Oh, cracky, yeah." So I did the last. He said, "Don't tell anyone. This is going to be the last 6 months at the Palladium. And once everyone finds out, you won't get a seat." And of course, he was dead right. But for me, it was fantastic, because my daughter, who's 7 now, she was 5 and a half, 6 when I did it. And because she came and saw me, she was frightened. I had to take her in the dressing room to see me stick the nose on the bald head and everything. And I had to do the voice for her, you know. But because she was able to bring her friends from infant school back to the Palladium and come and see the show, and then I could take them on stage and let them see Chitty on stage, which was magic. And Millie and I together were very, very lucky, because we got to fly in Chitty. She does a practice run every day before the show, just to make sure everything's working okay.
It's not frightening, though, or not?
It's frightening, because, well, no, you know, people don't understand. I mean, Chitty, it seriously is a magic car, and she can fly.
Yeah.
And once you get in her, any doubts you've got are out the window, because she takes off, and she takes off vertically, and then she does a sweep around, then she comes down, going down vertical as well when she comes off the cliff, you know.
That's right.
And Millie's saying to me, "It's all right, Dad, just hold tight, I'm driving." It was just a magic moment. It was great.
Right, back to the rock and roll. That's the thing kind of started off with. We're rock and rolling there at the Palace Theatre, 12th of October.
Yeah.
On a Sunday. If I ask you nicely, Alvin, can you finish off with a nice rock and roll song for me?
Yeah. Gosh, I know loads of rock and roll songs, can't think of one offhand. How about, it's a rockabilly song, really, basically, but it's, pretend you're happy when you're blue. It isn't very hard to do. And you will find happiness without an end if you pretend. Remember, anyone can dream, and nothing's bad as it may seem. The little things you haven't got could be a lot if you pretend. You find a love you can share, one you can call your own. Just close your eyes and you'll be there. You'll never be alone. I just realised I'm playing it a tone lower than I should be playing it, so it's very down there, and it should be more up there.
It sounded absolutely brilliant. Alvin, it's been ever so good to talk to you. See you too on October then, down at the Palace Theatre. We'll come over on the Sunday night. But just before you go, everybody's talking about a certain lady in Mansfield, which is Rebecca Adlington, the swimmer. Just want to know what you think of her, Alvin.
I was in tears. I got to say, I watched both events, and the first time, I thought, God, that could be my daughter. And she's from Mansfield.
That's right.
And I don't care where you are around the world, there's something about where you were brought up that's very special. And Julie, my wife, and I, it's our 21st anniversary, because we've been together 21 years this year. And every time we come up this way, and we call in Mansfield or we go to Southwell, Southall,
Southall.
She always says, why don't we move up here and live here, because it's so nice, And I keep saying, well, I could easily do that, don't tempt me,
but she's done.
It was just fabulous seeing her win like that. It was just amazing. And the thing about it was, I read in the paper the next day, because then a couple of other people started winning, and a lot of teenagers are doing really well.
Yeah.
And it said in the paper, can't some of our footballers, musicians and politicians take a tip and behave like some of these athletes, be decent and...
That's right.
And be humble and not cocky and, snorting cocaine and all that kind of stuff. Not that there's any politicians out there would ever do anything like that.
No, of course not, no.
Moving right along.
But we're all kind of behind Rebecca at the moment, and because she's coming around to Mansfield, I think it's a week on Tuesday, in an open-top bus around Mansfield. And it's just absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're also talking about making a dame, which is, I think that's absolutely brilliant as well.
Oh, without a doubt, there should be a statue in Mansfield Marketplace.
I agree.
Absolutely, yeah.
Alvin,
by the way, it's a thrill being here.
Is it really?
Seriously, not because of the radio station,
no.
Because this used to be Bronx Grammar School.
Yes, it did, that's right,
It was the posh school in town, and we all thought, I wish we could go there.
But you didn't know, did you?
No. I did better than that. I went to Sutherminster.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks, Alvin.
Thank you.
Bye.
Workforce Requests with Hopkins Solicitors, where you can get the right advice at the right price. Call Mansfield 468 468.
Fixed rate home loans?
Definitely.
Discounted home loans?
Absolutely.
Fixed rates for my savings and tax-free savings accounts?
Unquestionably.
Individual personal service?
Every time.
Call centre?
Now you're just being silly. We've no call centres because at the Mansfield Building Society you'll only ever speak to a local expert with local solutions for you. Call the Mansfield Building Society on 0800 015 7680 or pop into any branch today.
You're in a good mood. Yes, Pluto has just aligned with Mars.
All right.
And if my horological calculations are correct, this combination should be most rewarding.
So will that traffic warden be writing you a cheque then?
Oh, no.
For a really perfect combination, try an award-winning Vauxhall Combo van. As well as a large payload, it's available from only $7,995. Conditions apply. Price for business users only, excludes VAT at 17.5%. On the road charges, vehicle excise duty, fuel and insurance. Contact your local Vauxhall retailer now.
I must have confused me Venus with me Saturn.
You want to read parking signs, not star signs.
Combo from Vauxhall Commercial Vehicles. The wheels of business.
If you're looking to advance your IT skills or just understand the basics, then Sutton Centre Community College has the courses for you. Open workshops allow you to progress at your own pace, with all levels catered for. Popular qualifications like Nuclate, ECDL and word processing are available. Or you might want to try a business course through the Institute of Leadership and Management Training. Don't get left behind. Get ahead with Sutton Centre Community College by calling 01623 441 310.
At Mansfield Carpets, we have our greatest deals ever. This week, we've reduced all roll stock, with many including free underlay and or fitting, plus free fitting on all our wood floor and laminate flooring, with our newest colours and designs available.
We've got brand new cushion floor ranges to suit all tastes at our lowest ever prices. Why not pay a visit to our new superstore in Ollerton, next to Farm Foods and Netto, offering great ranges and take advantage of our 9-month and 12-month interest-free credit, subject to status, ask in store for details. Available at both stores.
With excellent fitting teams and a good sales team, give us a try on 635 999 for our Mansfield store on Rosemary Street and 863 663 for our Ollerton store. Discounts on full properties, commercial and domestic. Mansfield Carpets, the store for carpets and much more.
Looking to change your car? ACF Car Finance could help. We stock a range of quality cars for you to choose from. Every car is pre-checked and comes with an independent MOT. Plus, you'll receive 3 free valets if you mention Mansfield 103.2. Visit ACF Car Finance Sutton in Ashfield for the car you like at a monthly repayment to suit your pocket. We approve hundreds of customers every month, and you could drive away in under an hour. Call ACF on Mansfield 523 500 or visit acfcarfinance.co.uk. Terms and conditions apply.
There are savings throughout the store, with some items up to 50% off. You can't afford to miss the massive Kirkby Factory Shop mid-season sale. Yes, there are some serious savings to be made. There's a fantastic choice of children's, men's and ladies' wear, with savings of up to 50% off original prices. Don't miss your chance to save in the mid-season sale at the Kirkby Factory Shop, Ellis Street, Kirkby in Ashfield.
Oh, come here, man. Give us a hug. I'm Ecstasy. Nice to meet you. I'm from Amsterdam originally, but these days you never know. I'm like gravity, man. What comes up must come down. In between pills, I'll let you feel like you're back in control, like you're okay to drive. Then you'll set off and you'll think, if I had 3 or 4, have I still got to come up on one? And then you come up.